Hello everyone, I am Vishaka Birhade, Assistant Professor, Department of Economics from the Bhopal School of Social Sciences. This main aim of this module is to make you understand law of demand, assumptions of the law of demand, demand schedule, demand curve, causes of downward sloping demand curve, exceptions to the law of demand and applicability of the law of demand. Now, let us start with the meaning of demand. The demand for a commodity is its quantity which the consumers are able and willing to buy at various prices during a given period of time. Demand is a function of price, income, prices of the related goods and tastes. But when the income, prices of the related goods and the tastes are given, or if they are constant, the demand function can be expressed as D is equals to F into bracket P, which shows or which expresses that demand is the function of price. Now, let us see what the law of demand states. The law of demand expresses a relationship between the quantity demanded and its price. In the words of Marshall, we can define the law of demand as other things being equal, the amount demanded increases with the falling price and diminishes with the rise in the price. In this way, the law of demand expresses an inverse relationship between the price and the quantity demanded. Now let us see the assumptions of the law of demand. Number 1, there is no change in the tastes, preferences and the habits of the consumer. That is, if the tastes and preferences of the people keep on changing, they would not like to buy the same commodity even if the price of the commodity reduces. Number 2, the income of the consumer remains constant. Now say for example, if the income of the consumer increases, it will be easy for him to buy the commodity even if the price of the commodity increases, and in this case the law will not be applicable. Number 3, there is no change in the customs. That is, there shall be no change, or there should not be any change in the normal behavior or common practices of the people or individuals. If this happens, again the law will be invalid. Next, there should be no substitutes of the commodity. That is, if the commodity has a substitute, the consumer would surely like to switch over to another commodity if the price of the previous commodity increases. Again, the next one, no change in the price of the related goods or the other products. That is, if the price of the substitute or the related good increases or changes, again the demand will also change and hence the law will not be applicable. And lastly, no expectation of future price changes. For example, if the price of the onions is expected to increase in near future, people would buy the onions at the current prices even if the current prices are high. Given these conditions, the law of demand operates. Any change in any of these conditions, if is there, naturally the law would not be valid and it would not operate. The law of demand can be explained with the help of demand schedule and a demand curve. So let us first see what is a demand schedule. A demand schedule is a list of prices and quantities which reveals that when the price is rupees 6, the quantity demanded is 10 units, and further if the price falls to rupees 5, the quantity demanded increases to 20 units. So in this way, it is clear from the demand schedule that as the price of the commodity goes on increases, the quantity demanded of the commodity will go on decreasing and vice versa. Based on the above demand schedule, let us now see how the demand curve is derived. In the figure, DD is the downward sloping demand curve which is derived from the different dotted points showing various price quantity points or combinations. Let us see what are the causes of the downward sloping demand curve. Number 1, the law of demand is based on the law of diminishing marginal utility. As per this law, when a consumer buys more units of a commodity, the marginal utility of that commodity continues to decline. Therefore, the consumer will buy more units of that commodity only when its price falls. When less units are available, utility will be high, and in this way the consumer will be prepared to pay more for the commodity. Thus, it is proved that the demand will be more at lower prices and vice versa. Number 2, every commodity has certain consumers, but when the price falls, many consumers start consuming the commodity. As a result, the demand increases, and on the contrary, with the increase in the prices, many consumers will either reduce or stop its consumption. Because of this, the demand will fall. This is called as the price effect, and due to this, the demand curve slopes downward from left to right. Number 3, income effect. When the price of the commodity falls, the real income of the consumer increases, as he has to pay or as he has to spend less amount in order to buy the same quantity. On the contrary, when the price rises or if there is a rise in the price of the commodity, the real income of the consumer will fall. This is called as the income effect. For example, with the fall in the price of milk, he will buy more of it, but along with it, he will be also demanding the other commodities as his real income has increased. But if the price of the milk increases, he will surely reduce the consumption of the milk. This leads to a downward sloping demand curve. Number 4, substitution effect. With the fall in the price of a commodity, the prices of its substitutes remaining the same or unchanged, consumers will buy more of this commodity rather than the substitutes. As a result, the demand will increase and vice versa. Say for example, with the fall in the price of tea, the price of coffee being unchanged, the demand for tea will rise, and contrary-wise, with the increase in the price of the tea, the demand will fall. Number 5, there are persons in different income groups in every society, but majority belongs to the low income group. The downward sloping demand curve depends particularly upon this low income group. As common people or ordinary people would like to buy when the prices are low and would like to curtail the consumption when the prices are high. Whereas the rich have no effect as they are capable of buying the same quantity at even the higher prices. Lastly, there are different uses of certain commodities and services, right, that are responsible for the negative slope of the demand curve. Now, with the increase in the price of such products or such commodities, they will be used only for important uses and their demand will fall. On the contrary, with the fall in the price, they will be put to several uses or various uses and their demand will rise. For example, electricity. Proceeding further, now let us see the exceptions to the law of demand. There are certain cases where the law of demand doesn't operate, or say there are certain cases when the law of demand is not applicable. What are those cases? Let us now see. Number 1, war. If shortage is feared in anticipation of war, people may start buying more for building stocks or for hoarding, and even when the prices are rising, they may continue to buy the commodity. So, in this case, the law will not be applicable, or we can say it is actually the opposite or the reverse of the law. Number 2, depression. During the depression, the prices of the commodities are very low and the demand for them is also very less. This is majorly because of the lack of purchasing power of the consumers. Number 3, Giffen paradox. The unique feature of the Giffen goods results in quantity demanded increasing when there is an increase in the price. A Giffen good is considered to be a strongly inferior good. For example, for staple foods like rice, when the price of rice rises, people with lower incomes will spend less on the other superior foods or superior goods and instead buy more rice. Number 4, demonstration effect. Under this effect, consumers would like to buy more of those commodities which confer distinction on the possessor when the price rises. On the other hand, with the fall in the price of such articles, demand also falls, just as in the case of diamonds. Number 5, ignorance effect. Consumers can buy more at a higher prices under the influence of ignorance effect, where a commodity may be mistaken for some other commodity due to misleading packing, label, etc. Last is the speculation. According to Marshall, the law of demand does not apply to the demand in a campaign between groups of speculators. When a group unloads a great quantity of a thing onto the market, the price falls and the other group of speculators begins to buy them. When it has raised the price of the thing, it arranges to sell a great deal quietly. Thus, when price rises, the demand also increases. Moving ahead, last but not the least, let us now see the applicability of the law of demand. Number 1, contribution in price determination. It helps in determining the price under various market forms, as well as it also helps in deciding the remunerations paid to the factors of production. Number 2, contribution in government policy formulation. That is, it helps the different sectors of the Indian economy to decide and to formulate the policies. For example, taxation policy, price control policy, protection to the industries, etc. Number 3, contribution in wage determination. As we have seen earlier, that it helps in deciding and fixing the remuneration that is paid to the factors of production. And lastly, contribution in the demand forecasting. That is, what will be the demand of a particular commodity in near future. With this, we conclude the video. I hope you have understood the law of demand and the related subtopics. Thank you for watching.